A life-changing encounter, the battle between pride and love. There was a life-changing event not long ago that completely shifted how I think about the spiritual world, the nature of good and evil, and the choices we face every day. My name is Nathan Cole, and I'm 38 years old. I work as an emergency room nurse in a bustling hospital in Austin, Texas. I've been married to my wife, Lauren, for 10 years, and we have a beautiful 8-year-old son named Caleb. It was a typical Friday night shift, and the ER was as chaotic as ever. A multi-vehicle accident on the interstate meant the incoming rush of critically injured patients was relentless. I was assisting a severely injured patient when I heard another ambulance arrive. Rushing to help, I didn't notice the slick blood pooled on the floor beneath my feet. I slipped, falling backward and hitting my head hard on the sharp corner of a metal supply cart. The last thing I remember was the searing pain and the horrified faces of my colleagues as I lost consciousness. Later, I learned that I had suffered a traumatic brain injury, and during the emergency surgery to relieve the swelling, my heart stopped for nearly 8 minutes. What happened during those minutes changed me forever. The first thing I remember after the accident was an overwhelming sense of peace. The pain, noise, and chaos of the ER were gone. I felt as though I was floating, weightless and free. I opened my eyes to find myself in a place of unimaginable beauty, a light-filled realm that radiated warmth and love. The light was brighter than the sun, yet it didn't hurt my eyes. It wrapped around me like a comforting embrace, filling every part of me with an indescribable sense of belonging and peace. Then, I noticed a figure approaching me. As the figure came closer, I realized it was Jesus. I know that might sound unbelievable, but in that moment, there was no doubt in my mind who he was. His presence was overwhelming, yet comforting, a perfect blend of authority and love. He smiled gently and said, "Nathan, you've arrived earlier than expected. But there is something important I need to show you before you go back." I was speechless, utterly in awe of him. Before I could ask what he meant, the world around us shifted. The radiant light gave way to a magnificent scene that took my breath away. I found myself standing in a place that felt like heaven itself, surrounded by beauty that words cannot capture. Angels filled the expanse, each one glowing with a divine brilliance. Their voices joined together in perfect harmony, creating music that was unlike anything I'd ever heard on earth. It was as if joy, love, and truth had been transformed into sound. Jesus pointed toward one particular angel. This angel was more beautiful than the rest, shining with an unmatched radiance. Its light reflected the colors of gemstones, emeralds, rubies, and sapphires, and its wings shimmered with an array of indescribable hues. "This," Jesus said, "is Lucifer as he once was." I was stunned. Lucifer? The name sent chills down my spine. I couldn't reconcile the breathtaking beauty of this angel with the image of the evil figure I had always associated with the name. "Watch carefully," Jesus said, "for few have seen what I am about to show you." What followed was a revelation that forever changed how I understood the nature of good and evil. At first, Lucifer seemed perfect in every way. He sang with a voice so powerful it seemed to resonate through the very fabric of creation. He was a leader, a guardian of God's throne, and a reflection of God's glory. But then I saw something change. Lucifer began to admire his own reflection in the golden streets of heaven. He lingered, captivated by his beauty. Jesus explained, "This is where pride was born." I watched as Lucifer compared himself to the other angels. Subtle changes appeared on his face, an almost imperceptible smirk, a fleeting look of dissatisfaction. "Pride," Jesus said, "is the root of all sin. It transforms love for others into love for self, gratitude into entitlement, and service into dominance." As I watched, Lucifer's pride grew. He began to seek attention, performing elaborate gestures to draw the eyes of other angels. He whispered to them, planting seeds of doubt about God's goodness and fairness. "Why should we serve?" he would ask. Are we not magnificent ourselves? Do we not deserve more? Jesus explained that Lucifer's rebellion began not with outright defiance but with subtle questions and whispers. Free will, Jesus said, is both a gift and a test. It allows for true love and devotion, but also the possibility of rejection and rebellion. Lucifer's pride eventually turned to open defiance. He gathered a third of the angels and declared, I will ascend to the heavens. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will make myself like the Most High. The moment he said those words, everything changed. Lucifer's light began to fade, replaced by a creeping darkness. His beauty twisted into something corrupted. Then came the war. Michael, the archangel, and the loyal angels rose to defend heaven. The battle was unlike anything I could have imagined. Streams of brilliant light clashed against tendrils of darkness. The heavens shook with the force of the conflict. Lucifer and his followers were ultimately defeated. They were cast out of heaven, falling like stars into a great abyss. Jesus turned to me and said, This is the nature of the battle you are part of, Nathan. It began here but continues on earth. Every choice you make, every act of love or pride, plays a role in this cosmic struggle. What Jesus showed me next was deeply humbling. He revealed how pride continues to work in the world today. Satan, now stripped of his former glory, uses the same tactics that led to his own fall: deception, dissatisfaction, and pride. I saw how he whispers lies to people, convincing them that they deserve more, that they should put themselves above others, and that they don't need God. But Jesus also showed me the power of love and humility. I saw how small acts of kindness, forgiveness, and selflessness create strands of light that push back the darkness. These strands connect people to God and to one another, forming a network of love that the enemy cannot penetrate. Before sending me back, Jesus gave me one final message. Nathan, he said, remember what you have seen. Share it with others so they may understand the nature of the battle and the power of their choices. Pride is the enemy's weapon, but love is stronger. Always choose love. He placed his hand on my forehead, and in that moment, I felt a wave of love and peace unlike anything I'd ever known. The next thing I knew, I was back in my body, gasping for air as the surgical team worked frantically around me. Since that day, my life has changed in every way. I no longer take the spiritual world lightly. I see every choice I make, every thought I have, as part of a greater reality. I've become more aware of my own pride and the subtle ways it can creep into my heart. When I feel the urge to put myself above others or demand more than I need, I remember Lucifer's fall. But more than anything, I strive to live a life of love. I reach out to others, pray for them, and do my best to build connections of light in a world that desperately needs it. What I saw was both sobering and hopeful. Yes, the enemy is real, and the battle is ongoing. But love, true, humble love, will always prevail. If there's one thing I want you to take away from my story, it's this: every choice matters. By choosing love over pride and humility over selfishness, we align ourselves with God's plan and play our part in His ultimate victory.